Is on. It looks like she has a mute.
Say again, Jill, what was that?
I was wondering about Stephanie Condon's speaker. I have her being logged on, but you
Yes.
haven't acknowledged her.
Hi, Stephanie. Can you hear
Yep,
me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, but we can't see you.
Yep. That's
You want it that way.
intentional.
And you want it that way.
I do.
Okay. So I need to know who Central County Farmland Trust is. Welcome. Who's Central County Farmland?
Switch that.
Hi.
Jennifer Shuey.
Oh, hi, Jennifer. So glad you made it on. Perfect.
Great.
So we're just waiting for two more, but I have started. I want to begin by thanking Jill very, very, very much for asking me here today. I'm absolutely thrilled. For those who haven't heard, I'm in Naples, Florida, where it is absolutely glorious. And we ride 3 times a week. And it keeps me in physical and mentally good condition because otherwise I'd be at my easel the entire time. And my husband says he'd have to tear me away from it. So let's talk a little bit about why we're here today. We're going to be working on abstract. So that's what you guys have signed up for, and that's what I'm going to try to do. And we're also going to work on getting a jewel, a gem worked into this. And when I show you how simple it is, you're going to go, what? I can't believe that. I'm working on a big panel. It's a 16 by 20. You can see it behind me on the easel there. And I also put a photo of it up onto Padlet. Did anybody have any trouble using Padlet? Are you all good with it?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because as you progress this afternoon, I'll ask you to take a good, clean picture, get it all squared up, crop it, and put it up onto Padlet like you've been doing. And that way, I'm going to show you one of the coolest things. Kitty, one of the coolest things. That's all right. I'm very cute. One of the coolest things that I use consistently, and it's called an app called Procreate. And I'm telling you, it has changed the way I paint, not when I'm at the easel, but before I get to the easel. Okay. All the design elements are still critical. We're going to be working with focal points, rules of thirds. We're going to be working with a source of light and something that I call entry and exit points. And that is, and I'll show you that in just a second, where a line might go off the edge of a painting and what we do with that and how everything will focus in on the focal point. So are there any questions before I begin? And are we expecting Deb Taylor to make it on today? Does anybody know her?
I haven't heard from her since she signed up, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, as a prelude, the fact is I am recording everything. When we break in a little while, and if anybody needs a nature break, you just either get up and go or you say, hey, let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll do that because this is a long session. So you'll have access to this recording. I won't take it off. I have no reason to. I will ask that you not share the link because it's going to be unlisted just for you guys. You guys are now my patrons, and I respect that, and I ask you to do the same back. You will also have your Padlet up. Your bulletin board will be up, and I'll see when you post something and may make a comment. I may not get into detail on it, a couple of weeks down the road, but that way you can still do that. The other thing is that I have a Facebook page. It's called Learning Pastels with Laura Pollock. Please go ahead and sign up for that. You'll be able to post things there. You'll see me post there all the time. The other thing is, if you're not already on the Pastel Society of America Facebook page, I recommend that you do that. Why would you do that? I'm not advocating that you tell us what you had for breakfast or what your kitty did. I would like you to look at all the artwork that's up there and really analyze and learn from it. Ooh, I really like that. But then ask yourself why. And really unbraid it, pull it apart. Say, oh, I love that color next to that color. Oh, that line is so cool. Oh, I love that composition. And then if you're not a member of it yet, let me know that you want to do that because I'm one of the admins and I will accept you. Knowing that you're a student means that I know that you do pastels. And on there, you can upload pastels, only pastels, not oil painting or not oil pastels, but just upload pastels. There are specific rules you have to have. It has to be from your reference. So whatever you do today, if you're copying what I'm doing, which I'm advocating that you do, put that up on your own Facebook, but don't put that up on the Pastel Society of America Facebook page. So it has to be from your own reference. You have to have title, size, and you have to mention that it's your own reference, okay? So I really recommend that you do that as a learning tool. Okay, any questions at this point?
Laura,
Yes.
where's everyone from?
Mostly Central Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Jennifer Madsen is from Florida, so we're waving at each other down the road. And someone else is from somewhere else. Well, you're the other person from somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm from Illinois.
Who's that?
Lori. Mhm.
Oh, where in Illinois?
Um, near Naperville. Most people have heard of
Yep.
Naperville. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I used to live in Chicago and I
Me
used
too.
to work.
Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I worked at the Hancock. I was in advertising for quite a while of my adult life, had my own ad agency. And I do
Nice.
need to say that having a graphic design background really makes a good difference. And contrary to what most people think, painters who cannot draw go into abstract is what I've heard recently. If you can't draw, your abstracts will show that. It will reflect that. So whether you have a desire to go full on abstract, keep drawing realistically. Understand light, understand how light wraps around an object, reflects off an object. I posted a landscape that I did late yesterday of some rocks in West Virginia, some cliffs. And a very, very good artist named Susan Story said, oh, this is so different than your usual. And I said, yes, it is. But my landscapes inform my abstracts. So keep doing that. Don't feel like it's a cop-out because it's going to make a huge difference. So the first thing that I want to do is and by the way, if you have ambient noise, like lawnmowers, which you're not in the middle of winter, or kids running around, which probably not, just mute yourself. But be sure to interrupt me to ask questions. I want you guys engaged. When I'm painting, when I'm up at the easel, for sure, I want to hear from you. Okay? So let me do a little screen share. I'm going to pull up my abstract drawing that you've seen already in Procreate. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the steps that I've taken and how cool it is. Let's see if that'll work. All right. Can everyone see it? Please just say yes.
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 Okay. What you're looking at is my drawing in Procreate. Now you see these heavy dark black lines. That's part of Procreate. So what I'm going to show you, not only is how I approach the painting, but how Procreate works. Now, Procreate is specific to the iPad, but there are Android-based apps that do the same thing. I think one is called Canva, Canva. Okay. So let me just go over here. I'm going to move my toolbar all the way to the bottom. And if you don't see something, just move the items on your screen around. Can everyone see my cursor?
Yes,
Yeah,
Can you see these two little white squares?
yes.
yes.
Okay, I'm going to be tapping that now. I'm on my iPad and this cursor is on my computer. So I'm tapping that and I'm going to go down to the very beginning to layer 1. So you see a little check mark here. I'm going to get rid of it and I'm going to tap it. Now, you're going to see the way I'm going to be painting because I didn't do this painting on the easel. I did this painting in Procreate to show me a pathway of where I'm going to go when I do get to the easel. Okay. The first thing I'm going to be working on is this gem. So what I'll be doing is I'll be putting in a dark ruby red there. Then I'm going to be going to the midtones. Then I'm going to be going, oh, good, we have someone new. Hello, welcome, who's there? I'm going to go up to the top and take away that big black line so you can see what's going on. Okay.
Laura, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in for the question.
Yes.
Did you
Please
create-
identify yourself because I don't see you online right now.
Oh, got it. It's Jennifer Madsen.
Hi, Jennifer.
You created all these layers ahead of time based on how you think you want the painting to go?
Yes, it is so much freaking fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
I lie down in bed and I go, I wonder would this work? I wonder would this work? Would this work? If I don't like it, I get rid of that layer. I go, oh, okay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Jennifer, do you have an iPad?
I do, and I'm about to get Procreate about 2 seconds.
$9.99. But I
Worth
recommend
every
that you have an Apple Pencil.
I do.
Then you're all set to go. How new is your iPad?
Like a year.
Perfect. You're good to go.
This
Okay.
is this is Lori. I do use Procreate, but I can't figure out what brushes did you choose to create your background?
Okay, the background.
Or is
Right
that
here.
actually your background and you
That's
pulled it
the
in?
painting
Okay,
on the
you actually
easel
pulled
with
that
the
in
drawing.
there. Okay,
Yeah,
got
with
it.
the drawing on it. Yeah.
Yeah, got
And
it.
then the
Okay.
brush that I used it's called a pastel brush. Let me show it to you. Hello, Deb Taylor. Is that you? I can't hear you, so you might be muted. Okay, let me show you the brush. Again, I'm on my iPad, but I'm going to point where I go. So I have a soft pastel brush right here. What's cool is if I tap that, it gives me all kinds of possibilities of how to change it. I don't get into that too much because I'm not good enough yet. Okay. All right, let's go back to layers. So I'm going to go all the way down. So you saw me put in the this layer. Oh, I'm doing it on my computer. No wonder it's not working. There and there. Okay, so I'm going to start again. I'm at the bottom. I'm putting in my ruby, and you're going to see me do this on the pastel. But boy, does it help to figure it out here. Okay, so you see I'm going from the darkest to now middle tones, little highlight, little more highlight. Boom, I got a gem. So when you paint water that's still, and you can see the bottom of a river or a lake, you paint from the bottom up. That's just a good piece of general advice. So when I do gems, I paint from the bottom up. Okay. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put in a medium gray layer. Now, on this layer, it was originally pure white, but I dulled it down. And you'll see why in a second. Again, just like the ruby, I'm doing it from bottom to top, from dark to light, like we do with all of our pastel painting. I'm going to put in the highlight. This is going to be my source of light in this painting. Okay. I put in, so I have a philosophy. Think of this as being a fire pit. Think of this as your face facing the fire pit. Think of this as your backside, not facing the fire pit. This is going to be brighter, generally warmer. This is going to be cooler. So now as I go all the way around the painting, you're going to see how this is all going to work. Boom. I got
Wow.
some shiny metal. Okay. So I'm just hitting my layers one at a time. You're going to see me hit this one. And the reason this is red is because this is all going to be red underneath it. You start dark. Deb, are you having trouble getting on? Deb, are you in? Okay. I'm going to continue. You see me scrolling down. I have lots of layers. What's great is you can have like 250 layers and you can undo them. You can change them. Let me give you a little demo on this. I mean, I know this is probably not what you signed up for in the sense of, hey, I just want to see you paint, but this is now becoming how I paint. So I'm going to go into this layer, number 12, and I'm going to take the opacity down. Do you see that? Okay.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to go to the layer above it right there. This is the light and it's coming through right here. And this is a little shimmer that's reflecting some of that ruby light. So I'm just going to continue going. I'm going to make this a little smaller. So you can-
On my phone. I can't figure out where the hell it's at. Turn it on.
Okay, whoever just got on, maybe Deb, you're going to have to mute till you figure out your settings because we're in the middle of the lesson already. Okay,
What?
is that you, Deb?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
You'll need, while you're chatting with someone else, you'll need to mute because I'm already in the lesson, okay?
Can
Very
you hear
good.
me?
I can hear you, yes. Can you
Okay.
hear and see?
I can now. For some reason, my
Perfect.
internet was giving me issues.
So if that happens to anybody during the course of the day, God knows it happens to me, just jump off and come back on. This link will be good for the entire day, okay? So that'll be your safety net. So I'm just going to keep hitting buttons and putting in the layers. And you're going to see where I'm going to take this painting. It's sort of magic, it's sort of not. Okay. So this is where I'm going to take it. Any questions?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Let's stop this share. Okay. And I'm going to go into full screen. And all right. So Deb, I'm going to rename you. It says Samsung SM. Is that okay if I rename you? There we go. Okay. All right. So now, without further ado, I'm going to get up to the easel because it's time for me to start painting. Unless there are any questions. Okay, give me about 30 seconds to a minute to get everything set up. If there are any ambient noises, please mute yourself. It's disturbing to everybody. If you can't do that, I'll do it for you.
I'm having issues.
Okay, I'm gonna mute everyone. If you need to talk, then you just unmute yourself, okay? So give me a second. I'm going to get everything set up for you to see my easel.
And you never found out about that's why I'm leaving.
Okay,
I was
I need
going on.
everyone muted. Okay. I'm almost there. Okay, can everyone see the easel all right?
No,
Can anyone else see it?
I can see
Yes,
it.
I can see it.
Okay. Was that you, Deb, that's having the issues?
I am. I am having major issues. My computer keeps getting kicked out of Zoom, and my
Uh-oh.
phone. And I've used Zoom before, but when I blow it up to fill the whole phone, it takes the picture away. If I go down small, but it's only like an inch, there's a picture.
That doesn't, do you have another device you might be able to get on with? Okay, what I'm going to show you, you've seen this already because I put this up on Padlet, is my sketchbook. So you're going to see me, I wear these horrifying rubber gloves, but I don't like to go out for sushi with black fingernails, just really bugs me. So anyway, you see, and I'm going to bring it a little closer there. I do all kinds of little sketches. And this is the one we're going to be working with today. It just suited me. I just thought it was fun. So the first thing that we'll try is getting that gemstone in place. Now, I always have some type of paper towel in hand. I'm going to shift the light. This is glaring a lot. Hold on. That's a little bit better. Might be better without it altogether. Yep, that's better. Okay. So let's try for that gemstone. So I always have a paper towel in hand. I'm going to go with sort of a dark burgundy red. It's almost brown, but it's in the red family. As many of you know, I use Blue Earth. So this is a very well-loved Blue Earth. And that's actually pretty light, but it'll have to do for right now. One of the things that I like to do is rock it, find where that edge is, push forward a hair, and then pull in. And I get a pretty nice mark that way. The other thing to know is the three-fingered hold, okay? You have two fingers like this, and then you use this almost as a lever. And that can give you a nice edge and pressure. And learning how to make those marks is really critical, because I always joke that when I first started with pastels, it really felt like I was playing the piano with a sledgehammer. I'm going to try to zoom in for you guys so you see more closely what's happening. Forgive me, the camera's going to bounce a little bit as I do this. Okay.
My screen is gray. Your design is gray. The color you're putting on is gray.
You're absolutely correct. Everything is gray.
No.
Good, I'm on the right track then.
You're on the right track. Now I'm going to get some chroma. Okay, this is a little bit of red. Gotta let someone in.
Yeah, that's me again.
Hi, Deb.
Like I said, it keeps cutting me out.
This meeting is being recorded.
That's pretty horrifying and frustrating. So
Yeah.
what you need to take a deep breath, because this whole thing's being recorded. So God forbid you can't get on consistently today. You will be able to see everything by tonight,
At some
probably.
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But why don't you mute yourself, because there's a lot of ambient noise, and unmute when you have a question. Okay?
Figure out. Well,
Do you need me to do it for you? Because I can from my end. I think you did it. Okay, good. All right. So now I'm moving up the ladder to more chroma. Let's see what we can pull off. Now, if any of you have ever observed an eyeball in light, you'll know that if the light is coming from one side, you would think that there would be the lightest part here, but believe it or not, it catches it here on the far side. So let's put a little bit of light right on that end there. And you're barely seeing anything, okay? I need to warn you guys, this type of painting that I'm doing takes a lot longer than we're going to have time for today because of all that space. Anyway, I'm moving up the ladder. I'm getting to a brighter color. You see, that was the original color. Now there's that. So let's see if we can get some marks that will just say facets and gemstone. Okay. And now I'm going to move over to a brighter red. Let's see what we get. This might still be too dark. We'll have to see. And this is a pretty darn bright red. See that? I rock it, I push forward, and then I'll swipe up. Okay. I'll go back to my middle and do a little bit there. For now, that's all I'm going to do, believe it or not. One of the tools that I absolutely love, these are color shapers, and they're rubber tipped. I can use my pinky, and sometimes I will do this to get that. But if I have a really tiny place and I need to get a good sharp edge, I might do something. Okay. So right now it doesn't look like much, but we're about 2 minutes into a painting, so I don't expect a whole lot yet. Let's get into this to get the silver. Again, I may not get as far as I want today, but let's get some good stuff going for starters. This is an Art Spectrum medium gray. Now, the reason I like this, and I'm not using the blue earth, is because I've sort of started wearing my blue earth down and I wanted a big stick. So this is a pretty big stick. I might, you see how this is at one level and this is at another. Oops, it's off the screen. I need to pull back again. Hold on. There we go. All right. So this line doesn't meet up with this line. I think this line will come up and it'll all be one line by the time I'm done. But for right now, I'm going to do my little rocking routine here, push forward and pull down. This is a medium gray. It might look pretty bright on the screen there, and I might tamp it down. So I'm painting from behind the camera, so I have to do a few weird angles here.
Laura, it's Jennifer Madsen. Are you referencing back to your Procreate?
No, but I really should be.
I don't know about should.
Damn good idea. Let me
I don't know
pull
about
that over.
should.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up right now. Hold on.
Yeah, just curious how that comes into play as you do the painting.
Yeah, I'm gonna, my iPad now is just sitting off to the side here and I am looking at it, so.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt your flow, just curious about
No,
that.
no, I want you to interrupt. I really, really do. I'm gonna go to a darker gray. I think that might have been too light to start with. So this has a slightly bluish tint, still an art spectrum. Let's see what we get. I might have to turn my hand. And I'm finding through the years that if I push, I get some nice stuff going on. So I'm on UART 320, mounted onto acid-free foam core. I just really like the feel of a board, a solid surface. The other thing is that I don't like the curl when that happens. When I just tape something to the easel. That's a little too blue, so I'm gonna keep trying some different ones here. I have a set that I got while I was at IEPS a couple years ago. So this is a pretty dark one. Let's see how it works. That works better, I think. And do you see how I'm turning and twisting my wrist? That's really critical. It's the other reason that I do paint standing up. It gives me arm leverage and movement. I can do a full arc here. See on a move like this. It's harder to do something like that when you're seated. Now, in the beginning, I was taught never to blend with my fingers, that it breaks down the crystals and it dulls a painting. What I've had to learn totally on my own is that it's okay to blend and actually to fill the tooth. Sometimes I have to fill the tooth. It's like putting frosting on a cake. If you don't have enough frosting, it's just not going to go anywhere. So I am blending with my finger. But what I will do is I'll come up with fresh marks on top of this at a later point. So I'm going to pull my little iPad closer here. And see, I'm trying to get rid of the dark that's behind it. Let's say you come up with something that just You wish you didn't make that mark. Here's just a tip and a trick. I don't have this yet, but let's say I have some of it came up here. Just take a nylon brush and tap at it, and it will go away. You don't have to drag it. You don't have to do too much. Just tap at it, and it'll go away. And that's a really wonderful little trick without having to panic too much. The other thing that I do is I push the pastel. I don't pull it because then I can't see where I'm going. So I push it so I see where I need to go. See, like I went outside my line there, and I'll take a small, I have a whole cadre of nylon paintbrushes right there. So I'll just sort of tap, tap, and there. I always wipe off my fingers if I'm going to be using them because I pick up a lot. I also have to, with this glove, pull it down so it doesn't pinch and bunch at the top there. So I'm pushing it, and I can sculpt a nice smooth line like that. That's pretty darn cool. You can hear the sandpaper. I have not filled the tooth yet, but I have enough on here that is allowing me to smear it. There are some pastels that are absolutely awesome. Diane Townsend has one that has grit in it. If you ever get stuck and you need a pastel that is going to add back to your painting, her pastels have that ability. Plus the Henri Rochers have so much. Oh, that just reminded me, I'm going to bring out my reds on that. I have a set of Henri Rocher reds that are unbelievably rich. So I'm just trying to get a nice medium gray for this and get a smooth surface because I want this to be metallic. And for those of you that don't know, I will use a deep dark Terry Ludwig eggplant to get, I have not found anything darker than pastel yet. Okay, so let's see what we got going. Are there questions so far? I mean, I haven't done very much, but yes, are there questions? I'm going to do something I have never done before, which is really cool. I got this at IAPS. Wait till you see what this is. That is one big old pastel. Look at
Oh,
this.
okay.
This is a big Sennelier. Okay, I need I need the mute. I think, Deb, that might be you.
Again?
It's just I don't know who it is, but there's a lot of ambient noise. Is anybody else hearing that? Okay, I think that's good now.
Well, what happens is it turns the video off. I can't
I'm
see anything. I can
hearing
hear you,
Deb
but I can see
talking and
nothing.
noise.
I'm sorry, two people are talking at once, so I
Oh,
couldn't
this is
understand.
Jill. I hear Deb talking, so she isn't muted. I'm going to mute back up.
Okay, so Deb, is the issue that when you mute, you lose
I
your
can't
video?
see. Yep.
Can you just be in a room really quiet with no movement? Is that possible?
I am. There's nothing here but me. There's no TV, no radio, no nothing.
No movement of paper or boxes or anything? That's
Nope.
it?
Yep.
Okay, well, let's give this a try again and keep going. So,
We got.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, that didn't help. I muted it again, but it didn't help. I'm sorry.
So long as I just I love when you guys ask me questions, but it's the ambient noise that is my distraction. Sorry.
I don't know how to get rid of it at this point, if it's me.
When I mute everybody, does it turn off your video?
I don't know because I can't see anything.
Deb, it shows you signed in twice too.
That's weird.
That could be what it is. I'm surprised there isn't
Okay,
a
I
lot of.
see two Debs. So one says me and one doesn't. Okay, let me see what I am so sorry, Laura.
That's all right. We'll get this tech worked out.
Okay, well that one, so let's mute. How's that?
So far, so good. Can you still see?
No?
Oh, that doesn't work. Do you not have another device to log in with?
The problem with the other device, no, I don't. Why won't it let me? I am so sorry. I'm trying to sign out on one and I can't, it won't let me do that.
If you can't, I'll be able to sign you out on my end as the host.
Okay, you can sign one of them out. Maybe that's what the difference is. I apologize.
Let's see what we got going. Hold on.
I had this all going the other day.
No, isn't that it has its own mind. Hold on.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, let's see who else we've got here. So Deb.
Okay, I see your voice on that one. But the first one, that's the one that's screwed up. The one that says Deb me.
Okay, there's two that say Deb.
The one at the top above your name.
The one, you got to remember what I see is different than what you see.
That's what I was just going to say.
There's one that has no video and one where I see you speaking.
The one that has no video.
Get rid of that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I'm removing it now. Okay.
Okay. What? Oh, right, if I do that, okay, let's go to this one. It's gonna make me do this. Okay. Now kick me out again. Oh God! Just we'll do it during a break.
Okay.
I don't want to hold everybody up.
So what I will do is I will mute you. And let's see. Hopefully it won't kick you off from video. Okay. Looks like everybody's muted now. If you are on a computer and you need to ask me a question, just hit your space bar and that should do the trick. Okay. I am back at the easel now. Hopefully everybody can see what I'm doing with this big egg. And I'm loving this. I've never used it before. And the reason is because I'm covering a huge swath very easily. And it's got an edge to it, so I can tip it. I'm actually going to use my right hand. I've never done this before. Forgive me if I go in front of the camera. Let's see what we've got going here. So just to cover my paper, I'm going to do the same thing again. And this is the equivalent of an alcohol washdown when you do this type of thing. I do feel a ripple in my paper right there, so I'm pressing down into it. And I'm just going to be blocking in now. So normally, like I said, I would not be using my hands like this, but I just didn't want to put alcohol on this. All right. Now, down here, I have my red. So let's go and find a nice big stick of red. I might have a brown, which I might start with. Let's see. I have a burgundy egg. Let's see what that turns up to be. Like I said, I've not used these before, so this will be fun. Ooh, that's really nice. So here's a technique. You saw me push it. If I pull it and my hand is in the way, I can't see where I'm going, but when I push, I can see where I need to go. And it's taken me, this is going to sound very strange, it's taken me a while to figure out where should I be looking as I'm doing some lines that are really critical that they're even and smooth. So instead of looking here, I'm actually looking here. It's like riding a bicycle. Where am I going? I don't want to look only at what's under my feet. I want to see what's in the road ahead. And that's how that works for me. Do we have any questions? I'm all ears.
Jennifer Madsen again. Are you, you may have mentioned this, are you going all the way in so that it's like, are you letting the background shine through?
No, on this one in particular, no.
Okay, thank you.
But I will say there are a lot of times that I love to have the background showing through. And we'll do an underpainting. I particularly like the black. I mean, you've seen me do that quite a bit. And I will let some of it show through later on if you want. I can show you some examples of that. And the other thing that I love to do in my landscapes, so I'm going to do a plug for anybody that wants to have a vacation in May in Arizona. I don't know that it's going to happen. I have to see if we're going to have enough people signed up, but there's a place called Tubac, Arizona. I've never been, but I've heard it's just adorable. It's an artist colony. And I'm scheduled to teach there May 9th, 10th, and 11th. And I'll be doing abstracting the landscape for 3 days. One of the things that I do love to do is to put a hot pink under a cerulean blue sky. And it does some pretty cool magical stuff when you have that interaction of color. And I use these very inexpensive clips, Lowe's or Home Depot. My watch heard me say Home Depot and it started looking it up. Hysterical. I was actually watching a TV show the other night. If anybody has Apple TV, I watched Shrinking with Harrison Ford. Okay, someone's coming in. Okay. There we go. Is that you, Deb? Okay. So now, like I said, I'm just blocking in. Anyway, these clips are very inexpensive, but they're terrific for holding a painting in place. And at the top left, I'm going to put that vibrant blue. So I have to see what I've got in the way of a nice big blue stick. One of the reasons I don't ever break a Terry Ludwig in particular is, oh, I do have blue. Look at this. Is because I think of it as a big paintbrush. And I do not want to diminish that paintbrush. When you look at a full stick of Terry Ludwig, it's like a 1.5 inch paintbrush. And that is very, very useful for covering a nice wide swath. So my last egg, I didn't realize I had this. So here we go. You can get these, by the way, online. Again, I didn't know that either. And like I said, I'm going to even this out a little bit. So I'm pushing that down there. And I'm currently in my very ugly stage of a painting, just like a teenager. So I'm putting that egg away. And then I'm going to pull out my favorite Terry Ludwig eggplant, which is this really dark. And I'm going to vignette much of the painting, just like on the Procreate. I use whatever I can to keep you focused here. So before I even started, I had my thirds lined up. So right about there, it's one of my thirds, right about there is one of my thirds, and right about here. So that's why that sits there. What I didn't want to do, and I have to be very careful, I'm very close to it being near center. I don't want it there, just for, you know, visual interest purposes. Now, since I've rubbed most of this in, I still have lots of tooth to play with. You can see that I still have texture coming in. I've been thinking that to add interest, I might give this quadrant some rocky types of texture. We'll have to see how that works. And I'm going to show you again, I have obliterated a little bit of that. So I'll take a brush, I'll tap, tap, tap here to get back to where I want it to be. And I talked earlier about entry and exit points. So here, this is an entry or exit, however you want to think about it. I think of it as an entry taking me to my focal point. And I don't want it to be too strong, because if it's too strong, it'll take me out instead of in. So eventually I will completely obliterate that. So it's very soft. We do need to speak about edges, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. So again, I'm just rubbing this in, and I think of each painting as if I'm a stage director. And I'm going to put the spotlight on my star over there. Okay. Boy, poor Deb's having a rough time of it with that internet stuff. Okay, so when I think of it as a stage director, I'm not going to put a highlight out here. I'm going to put it on my star. And I'm going to make sure that I direct you to where I want you to look. Pushing, and I can get a nice smooth line that way. Okay.
Laura, Jennifer Madsen again, what did you use for the black edges that you're playing with right now? Is that the eggplant or is it?
That is the eggplant. And
Okay.
I was lucky enough to win an award from the Pastel Society of Colorado's show. So I got a $200 gift certificate in the mail today, and I'm going, what am I going to buy? And it's for Terry Ludwig. And I'm going, the only thing I want is eggplant. So that's what it's going to be. I've got a full set. And I buy Terry Ludwig eggplant like 10 at a time because I really use them up. Here is the vestige of one of my other Terry Ludwig eggplants. So I protect every granule of it. Now, one thing I don't like is I don't think I like this. I can't decide, is it a nice shift, or do I want to make it all even like I did in my Procreate? I'll leave it for now. And if I can't figure it out, I'll actually take a photo of this and put it into my Procreate later and say, just like at the doctor's office, A or B? What's better, A or B? Okay. So now I'm blocked in. Let's get some highlights in. Now I can go to a slightly smaller pastel. I still might be using my, I think I like these art spectrums because again, they give me a nice long line to deal with. Let's test it. This is another thing. Don't go right on here and make some big marks. Test it and see, is it the right value? That's pretty good value. Where do I want it? So I'm going to put it right up the middle, as if it's coming from here, right up this middle here. Now I'm going to rub this in and it will dissipate some of the strength of that. You guys are too quiet. I need some questions. Nothing? Okay. Now, do you note that I'm going a little bit rounded? I'm trying to indicate that this has some texture. It's not completely flat, that it has some volume to it. Okay, so I'm going with a direction that I want it to follow. All right, it's already starting to get a little bit of a sheen. I'll do it again, the exact same pastel. What's interesting, I love little sayings and quips. And I took a workshop with Albert Handel. He has some really good sayings. He says, each pastel has 3 colors in it. And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? Well, he says, you can go really light like this. That's one color. You can go mid-range like what I'm doing right now. And I'm talking about my pressure on the pastel paper. And then he says, and when you go almost impasto, full force, really loading on that pastel, that's a whole nother color. Let me just show you what I mean by that. I'm going to take an edge and I'm going to make a really strong mark. That's a different color. So I'm going to blend that in as well. Again, See how dirty my pinky is, and watch on the paper towel how much will come off. If I don't wipe that off, I'll be depositing that on there. So I want to make sure it's clean and not depositing anything. Okay. Again, I'm just going in the direction I want it to go in. Another technique for blending that's less destructive to the crystals is tapping or tamping. And I'm going to use all my fingers for that. Again, I'm wiping everything off, and I'm just going to do this. And I get a pretty nice smooth texture with that. Are you guys still with me? Just someone say yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So I look for places like this where it's just a little bit dark and I want it smooth. So then I'll start to tamp it and move it a little bit and see if I can get it to work. Might have to put more pastel on it.
Laura, it's Lori Harding.
Hi,
Did you-
Lori.
Did you say that you would normally have used an alcohol wash on your first coatings? Your first rounds?
Yes.
Okay.
But in this, I wanted the dark first. It's much easier, as you all know, to go light over dark than it is dark over light. So there are different ways to get the color laid down. Like this green, instead of using my hands, I could have used a foam pipe insulation. I could use, oh, this is a fun one. If you go to get a pedicure and they give you those little things that slip on over your toes, that stuff is the best to just tear up and use to rub in. Really cool. And also for those of you that might have used pan pastels, using these types of foam blenders, they're really awesome. You can get some excellent techniques with that. I might show you some of that later. Like I said, this is a slower painting than the kind that I would normally do. But I figured to get that kind of gem thing going, I need to do a slower painting for you. So what might happen here is while you guys are working, I'll also work. And when you guys want to have an art review, then I'll come back to the computer. And over the course of the next, oh, by the way, keep your fingers curled back because I just made a mark because my nail hit it. So be like an English lady having tea. Keep your fingers curled back. So in the course of the next week, it'll probably take me 2 or 3 days to finish this. And then I'll post it and I'll put it on Padlet for you guys to see. So here's one thing that I've noticed about metals in particular, is that especially with brushed metals, there's always this little sawing motion seems to happen at the very end. Okay. And now we'll go lighter to almost the lightest light to the sheen. So I learned something. I don't know if you guys know who Teresa Saya is. She does absolutely beautiful sunset nocturne scenes like in France and so on. Really beautiful. And she said that when you have a light area, there are 7 steps to get to that ultimate light. So if you've noticed, I started with dark, then lighter, and it takes that level of patience and lightness, or layering, I should say, to get it to where it really sheens. Okay, so this is coming along pretty well. And now what's interesting is, since my ruby is my source of light, I'll put some light here, but then I'll have some of that light be reddish. So I'm going to go back to my slightly darker gray, and this is going to be a little tricky. Again, I'm at a weird angle behind the camera. The critical part about pastels is understanding the feel of where that point is, and also understanding pressure. Because you saw what I did with different pressures here. Well, that's true for every mark you make. And that's picking up some of that eggplant, so I'll probably have to work that quite a bit. Now, I don't like what I did with that little mark there. It obliterated some of what I wanted. I'm continually wiping off my fingers as I touch this really light stuff here. And I'm moving it down. I might use the shaper now to see what I get. See, this really is too pointy right there. And I cleaned that up some. And actually, let's use that up here. And you do have to hold your breath for some of these marks. Also, when you put down the eggplant, and I did wash this eggplant in, sometimes it grays a little bit, but when you scratch it some, it gets dark again. So I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's actually getting darker as I scrape some. And at my focal point, I almost always try to have my lightest light and my darkest dark. I also try to have everything point to my focal point. Notice these lines, notice the lines. So this comes in, but it brings you down. This line, okay? This line right here. So I'm using everything to my advantage that I can that will help me out. Now, I do have a set of Giraud here, and Girauds are really good for when I'm utilizing something that has to be very delicate. So here is a Giraud, and you see that it's a fairly narrow little crayon shape, but it has a nice edge, especially if you break it. Look how sharp that is. I'm going to have to step in front of the camera for a second because I have to get a little closer. to see what I'm doing. I don't know whether my hair is all in there. See, I missed the mark, totally missed it. Making all kinds of faces, scrunching up my nose. That was not a very successful series of marks, so now I have to modify them, so to speak. I'm cleaning off my pinky. I'm going to see what I can do to fix that. I have a little bit of that pink in there. Let's see if I can use another Giro to fix it.
Is that pink going in? This is Jennifer Madsen. Is that pink going into the gray or is it in the purple?
Oh, it is actually going into the gray, and I'm doing a terrible job of it.
No, it's okay.
That was the big sigh.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what the reflection is.
God, I do. It's a tough enough job when I don't have a camera sitting right in front of me. It's really not working out very nicely. So part of taking a workshop is seeing how the teacher screws up. So you get to see that. Okay. That is not pleasing me at all, but let's see if we can fix it with a paintbrush a little bit right here. The other thing is sometimes just put your pinky on the side of your easel to give you stability. So now I'm pushing some of that. It's not working really nicely at all. So I'm going to push again. Okay, I'll go back a little bit to my art spectrums. Now this is too big and clunky. Now let me go into my blue earth, and you can see that the difference in size, how much smaller that is. And let's see if I can get something. Looks a little yellowish. It is. So you notice I made one little mark to test the color. This looks too taupey. You see it? Too light of a value. Take it down and over. For those of you that have not seen, I do some really fun value studies called color crossword using the blue earth. See, that color is not good enough. Take it off. Ugh, this could just be getting worse. Oh, thank goodness it came back. See if I've got the right color here. And that looks purple. Maybe I need to go back to my, let me try, I have some Richardson here too. See if this might be the right color. That's too light. Put it right up in front there and I can tell. Let's see if this will do it. This looks too yellowy. Yeah. Guess I have to go back to the art spectrum and utilize that because that is the color right there. I am using a very light touch on that, and that's the wrong color as well. I'm going to try something that I haven't used. I hope this isn't the bluish one. That looks like it might be good. Yeah, that'll do it. There's a lot of trial and error that goes into something like this. Okay, tamp that down. And sometimes you just need to put dots down. This is going to sound weird, but let's see if I can show you. So I'm just going to put some dots down. Lay in some color because getting that line might be just too difficult to do. But if you have the pigment down, you might be able to. I'm cleaning my pinky and I'm going to push. See, I can smooth that. So I just put some dots down. Dots of color. My head is cocked to the right. I'm going to need a chiropractor after all this. Okay. All right. For right now, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm spending too much time in one area. I am going to pick a greenish, light greenish tone for some reflective work here now. Let's see what I can pull off. Let's see whether this will work. Might be, I'm going into my greens in my blue earth, and I'm going to start here. Now, I love when that happens. That means my pastel was notched. There's a break in it. And I might leave that as it is. And let's see, I pull from the top here. I'm going to start on the point, and then bit by bit, I'm going to lay the rest of it down so that I can get it from thin to wide. I'm starting thin, pulling, and now I'm getting wider, and I'm turning the pastel a little bit. Now that's a mark that I like, and I'm going to see if I want to keep it that way. I'm also going to try to use a red blue earth. Now I keep some of these blue earth in a box and I don't use them until I'm really ready. And I'm going to try to put a little bit of red right next to that green. That's another thing that I love to do is put complementary colors. I'm taking a deep breath and I'm going to hold it right here. So I keep these edges for things like that, because if I tried to do that with this, which is the same color, I would not have the success. Okay. Time to put in a nice red highlight here. Now for that, I can use a very rounded, well-loved blue earth. And I will try to use this edge up here and try and see if I can get a nice swipe. This is hard. I'm looking ahead, looking where I'm going. Not too bad. I will smooth this. Have a little wibble wobble there. Okay. And yes, I am looking at my iPad now. What time is it? 12:20. Okay. Are you guys all good? Do you need a break? Is anybody alive out there?
I'm good.
Okay. And now I will take it to a slightly brighter red. I'll take probably the same color, but press a little harder. And then I'll go one step up. This time I might use a different color altogether. I'm probably going to go into, this is also an art spectrum and it has a lot of vibrancy to it. So you see, when you do that swiping motion, it's really cool. You get this lovely drop off. Okay, I'm gonna leave that. The best thing that we can always do when we paint is to truly leave a mark alone. I loved what Tony Elaine once said, and that was, if you make a bad mark, leave it alone. Put a better mark next to it. I'm very excited to be taking his workshop in North Carolina in June. Test this color. This is an aqua. It's not bad. I'll use it for my first mark. Pushing forward. And then, again, I'm going to blend a little bit. Right there. And why did I put this blue there? Because it's reflecting off of that blue. And then I'll take it one step more vibrant, perhaps more in an aqua. Let's see if that works. I'm going to test it. First, got to find that corner, that edge. Yeah, that'll do it. Pushing
Hey, Laura,
forward. Yes.
when you're doing that, are you using just really light pressure to blend? Or are you actually
That's a
pushing it?
really good question, Deb. I am using various pressures, and that's where just practicing and getting a feel is the most critical thing you can possibly do. When I do these marks where I'm going to be smearing and blending, there's about, let's say, on a scale from 1 to 10, a 5 pressure, okay? Maybe even a 6.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Let's see if I can get a nice color here. This might be the same color. Let's see what this is. That is the same color, but I'm going to press harder now. So Deb, this is about a 7 right here. I'm pushing. And I'm pushing forward. And then at the end, I let up, okay? And I'll just, especially near this edge, I will soften that edge. I don't want you going out. I want to control that. Note my fingers are really curled up. Here I will push and I'll really soften this edge here. Edges are critical to the success of any painting, whether it's landscape or whether it's abstract. It's absolutely critical that you control your edges. So I'm going to take that same color and I'm going to just do a few dots. Now, again, Deb, I'm at a 2 or a 3 right here. I'm barely touching my paper. I'm just putting down enough pastel that there's some pigment there and that I have something to rub in. So now I have a little bit of a curve coming over. I'm going to take some red and put it on this edge as also a reflection of what's below it. I'm going to go back to that really wonderful art spectrum that I had. And that was this one. Let's see. So if you note, some of these darks are getting dirty. I'm going to leave that for the end. And I'm going to try, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to actually use this edge right here. So I'm very careful where I place it. I'm going to hold my breath and try to make a mark. I'm going to go light first because there's no real red where I'm at. And I'm going to go heavier when I get close to where the red is reflecting. And now I'm going to go lighter. Okay. Is this helping you guys? Does this, any of this make sense? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just need to know. I need a little feedback there.
Laura, this is Lori Harding. I was just wondering when you get a chance,
Sure.
if you could, will you be talking about how you choose your designs and your like the original colors
Yes.
that you started?
Let's talk about that. One of my favorite things to do is to go on Pinterest, look in magazines, look in design magazines. I keep lists. And the reason is because I get inspired in all kinds of places. And I have files where I have ideas. I listen to a song and I get ideas. And I go back to those. I see a background on a TV show. And I get an idea. And then I do sketches. You saw some of the sketches that I do. I'll hold them up again. I mean, I do a bunch of sketches. And I just like the simplicity of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks, period. The simpler I can go, the better off my painting will be. Also, this is a critical piece. I almost forgot to talk about it, scale. If you note the scale of the painting, of the elements of the painting, this is big. It's almost like a nautilus. This is 2/3 almost of the painting. Then this is about 1/3. And then it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And that to me is really important in putting it together. Scale makes a huge difference on how it balances. Back to my art spectrum, I want a little bit of a sharp edge here. I'm looking where I'm going. I'm tipping it up now. I had it, that's too thick of a line, and look what I just did. So, okay. I'm gonna take a paintbrush, rid of that. And I'm pressing really hard when I'm doing that kind of smear. Okay, and this got really dirty, so let's clean that up. Look how nicely that works. Okay, so bit by bit, I'm going to be bringing this more to a finish, but I'm not going to get really detailed on a lot of this stuff. Now, I am noticing a ripple in my painting because of the way I mounted it, so I'm going to do something. I have a piece of glassine. I'm going to put it over it, and I'm going to really press into, so the glue that's underneath it adheres. Yeah, it got rid of it. So it adheres to the board below. It's rare that that happens, but it does. So I'm learning how to deal with it. So this should have some red on it as well. And when I say that my landscapes inform, this is a Terry Ludwig, my landscapes inform my abstracts, it's because I go out and I look and I see how does light bounce from one thing to another. I'm lightening up my touch. There we go. I don't want you going off, so that's why I do that. This is too strong up here. This takes me out, so I have to soften that quite a bit. And the line is not even, and I don't like that. Okay. Let's see what else we need to do. It could go a little bit darker in this area, so I'm going to put some darks back in. Now, it's not always the best to put dark into light, but we'll see if we can pull it off. And I'll do the same thing here. So the other thing that's really important is when you want something to be really bright and sweet, it's important to use grays and darks to get you there. It's because of the grays and the dull neutral colors that the brights really shimmer and shine. This is a Richardson dark greenish gray. And it is just smearing right now, which is not ideal, but I'm going to tamp it down. Okay. Let's see what we've got. I'm wiping my hands so I don't contaminate too much stuff here. And again, I'm going in the direction of what I think is metal here. So a little sawing motion seems to make sense. And it gets wider as it goes to the top here. And now I have this very sharp edge. I'm going to tamp it down just with the pad of my finger. So getting a little bit of metal is not that hard. It used to be very daunting to me. I'm squinting a lot, by the way, and I am standing back now. I'd like to put some of the aqua here so that it has a nice little sheen and shine to it. Let's make a mark to see if it's the right color. Yep. I'm pushing forward and I went off. I'm not happy about that. So before I start smearing that in, is my hair getting in front of the camera at all? Anybody?
It was earlier, but it hasn't for a long time.
Okay, I have a headband that I'll put on in a minute. Oh, poor Deb is having such a rough time of this. I'm going to put some extra highlights here. Some extra little glistens. Okay, that works. Let's go back to our gem for a minute. See if we can make that more interesting. So again, I'm pulling out my brand new, barely touched blue earth that has a sharp edge. And I keep these like this for a reason. I'm going to put my headband on because I'm going to get close to the camera. Hold on. Tie my hair back. So I'm rocking it. I'm finding where is that edge. And with this, I barely need to do anything. And I get a lovely, subtle edge like that. Absolutely fabulous. And it's one of the reasons I just love Blue Earth. I'm rocking it, finding the edge, and now I'm pressing. Deb, I'm pressing about a 10 right now, but I'm not moving it, I'm just pressing. And I get this lovely little deposit. Okay. This needs some cleaning up. I'm going to hook my pinky and I'm going to widen that line because it's flat right there and deposit stuff right about there. Now that was too much. Good news is I know how to fix some of that. The other thing that I love to do is take the back of my pinky and again, make sure it's pretty clean. And I'm going to scrape some of it off. And I can get a pretty nice sharp edge that way. Okay. All right. Let's work a little bit more on that gem. So I'm actually going to use, I think, a little bit of that itty bitty Terry Ludwig thing. leftover shard. Put my red back for a minute. I'm gonna get close, so I might get in front of the camera. Forgive me if I do. I'm trying to make some almost triangle shapes, as if they were facets. Honestly, I probably should have used this eggplant right from the start instead of that deep red that I had done. I'm wiping off my finger. I'm going to see if I can pull some of it over the eggplant. I'm going to use my color shaper. I think they're actually called like clay shapers. Have any of you used the 320 before? Do any of you use the UArt?
I usually use this is Jennifer Madsen. I usually use the UArt 400.
Okay.
I like that quite well. I haven't used the 320.
Did you say you don't like the 400 or you do like it?
I do like the 400. I have
Yeah.
not used the 320.
It's Lori Harding. I use the 400 too. I couldn't find the
400 is beautiful. Yeah, it's lovely.
320 would have had to been ordered, and I didn't do that in time.
No, it's hard to get these days. It's not as easy. So all I'm doing is I'm thinking about edges and facets. I'm remembering that as light goes through a gem and there's an angled facet, you lose some of the light. So hence this almost deep center. But what happens too is there's a gradation that takes place. So the color falls off. I don't mean falling off the paper. I mean, it is a gradated color. So as we go forward, now we need to work with the lights that are catching it. Now I'm on one of the top surfaces. Again, I'm trying for a triangular shape.
Laura, it's Lori Harding. Have you ever tried this method on any other paper? Just curious what I have.
Yes, I've
I have-
tried it on 400 last week.
Jojo,
I had trouble. I had to work harder. I had to work
So-
harder. I don't like working harder.
Laura,
Yes.
Look like
it's
pastel.
Julianne. Oh, it's Julianne.
Hi.
Jerry's Artorama carries the UArt 320. And
Well, that's
it's,
good.
you get it the next day. Well, at
You're
least in
kidding.
our area. Yeah,
Oh, that's because you're ordering from Raleigh.
correct.
Yeah. So what happens in this type of gem is there is a surface, a facet that does not catch the same light that the rest of it does. Now this is still a red, but it's going almost pink, almost salmon color. So I'm just putting a couple things, but that other surface will go grayish almost. So I'm going to push up to round it and then pull down a little bit. Okay.
Well, I don't know if anybody else is having this problem, but I can't see what you're doing with the red jewel at all.
Okay, well, let's do this. Hold on.
I just need a little more light on. Yes, well, that's much better. A little bit too much, maybe.
Speak and you shall receive.
Yeah, well, Kim just messaged. She said she was having trouble seeing it too. So I'm sure if everybody would nod or shake their head, we could figure out if they were having trouble.
That's better.
Good.
You can also go to the top of your screen where it says view options, and you can go zoom on in to like 300% and then move it around to whatever you want to see that Laura's doing, if that's
Just
helpful.
in the view.
It's at the very top where it says, next to where it says you're viewing Laura Pollock's screen.
Okay. Okay,
View
I see it.
options, the drop down, zoom in to your heart's delight, almost to 300%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now I'm trying to get a very sharp edge as if it's reflecting right off the silver that's behind it there. I'm using my pinky because now I have a nail in there that is giving me a sharp edge. And I have to stand back and see if it looks like a jewel. Might take a little bit of work. I also wipe off a pastel before I make a mark because they get dirty, even just sitting in the box. So this one actually left quite a bit of pastel on it. There we go.
Laura, are you going from, again, Jennifer Madsen, are you going from just your vast knowledge of
Vast knowledge. I love it. I sound like a genius.
your genius of jewels to know how to facet that thing? Or are you going
No.
off of a, I know you're not going off your reference, but
I'm not going off my reference. What I am going off of is, as I mentioned earlier, I will go on Pinterest and I will make a collection of jewels and I will study those pictures and I will see how do those facets work? How can I simplify it? What can I do to imply that? Study. Yeah, just study, just look, just learn. So I don't know from your point of view, does it look like a jewel is the question?
I'd say so for sure.
Okay.
So would I.
Oh,
Me too.
did I give you enough information so that you can also make your own jewels?
Yes.
Yeah, those last couple of dots really helped, but studying the jewels, that's good.
Okay, so now, for right now, because I do want to stop at about 1 so you guys can have some lunch, gather yourselves. I'm going to take my Terry Ludwig black, excuse me, eggplant, and I'm going to put some refinements in now. Okay. So hopefully this will make a lot of things pop. That just cleaned up a whole bunch. I think what needs to happen here in the long term is this has to have some texture on it. It's just a little too boring the way it is. I think it needs some real texture. And while you guys are getting going, I'll continue working. I'll leave the screen share up so you can see what I'm doing if you're so inclined. And then whenever you're ready, you'll say, Laura, I have something I want to show you that I posted to Padlet. At which point I will pull it up on Padlet, take it into Procreate, and show you what might be suggestions to perhaps alter it, make it better, give you ideas. I wanted this design to be straightforward enough that each and every one of you could be successful at it. And I don't see a reason that you can't. Now, I have a shape that's narrowing. So I'm going to start it wide and then I'm going to turn it as I go so that I can make the stroke narrower. Make sense?
Yep. Could you back the camera up a little bit?
Yes, thank you. I need
Is-
that help. Thank you.
It's a very nice jewel.
Oh,
That's good.
All right. Now I'm going to scoot myself closer to the jewel and try to really clean up the edges. I have a little extra there. Here's another tip. Use the back side of a paintbrush. Use the end here and scrape things off. It works famously. I got that dirty, so I'll have to clean that up. So as I go to the edge, I'm lightening my pressure to get a softer mark. Okay. Let's see what else we need to do to this. We have 6 minutes. This should be softened a little bit.
kind of texture would you suggest for the green area?
I think, okay, let's start it. Let me start what I'm thinking. One of my favorite things to do is make rock. And I will have some very delicate, again, my fingers are curled back, very delicate lines. Again, I want things pointing to my focal point. They'll be smaller here, they'll get bigger elsewhere. I always love to put a surprise in a painting as well. What's critical is I'm holding this pastel as lightly as possible. I am only scraping, feathering the surface. I am not putting any pressure on it. I'm just letting the pastel hit the surface. And I'm also twirling it, so I get variation of line.
What color is that?
This is the eggplant.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And as I go out, I'm going to get bigger and bigger. Think of cement that's cracking. I find those textures to be so much fun. Can you even see that? Do I need to zoom in for you guys? You want me to zoom in?
I can see
Okay.
it.
Okay, good. I am barely, barely, barely touching it. So I'm going to stop there because what I want to show you is what I'm going to do with it. All right. I'm going to take a blue gray as if it's picking up some of the silver. Maybe it'll be a gray green. Everything that faces my fire pit is going to get some light. Barely touching the paper, barely. Turning my hand. I'm trying to give it a little bit of a three-dimensional roll of texture. Now, as I move farther away, it's going to get to be a darker and darker color. Might have to change it towards a bluish, just so I have a chroma difference. These two colors play so well together. This is an absolutely gorgeous turquoise. I think the variation of texture is pleasing. And on the far side of it, the one that does not face the fire pit, so to speak, we'll do something cool and dark.
What color is that?
This is an ultramarine blue.
Why did you choose the blue there? I mean,
Excellent
as
question.
opposed to another dark color or a darker green.
Well, I wanted it to be cooler on the side away from my fire pit, so to speak.
Excellent. Okay, got it.
Okay. And I wanted it to be something that is value-wise not too light. All right. And gives visual interest, but the value has to be the same almost as the green itself.
Okay.
So I
And-
just sort of wanted something scaly almost. Did that make sense?
Yes, I was just wondering, I would not have chosen blue there. I probably would have maybe gone for a light lavender or something, you know.
I will. I'm glad you said lavender because I will pick up a purple in a minute. Okay. It seems like you guys are having some difficulties with the Wi-Fi. I do want to show you something. I had talked with some of you about modifying greens. Let's see. Oh, it's 1:02. You know, I should stop. I should let you guys go have a rest. And oh, this doesn't look too bad. I'm looking at it on the screen. Okay, not too bad.
It was
I'll
very
leave that up. I'll leave that up for you guys to see. I should fix the parallax. It gets narrower at the bottom. It does look like a gem and it does look like silver. So that's pretty cool. All right, I'll keep working on it.
Thank you.
It is 1:02 Eastern time. I think everybody's on Eastern time, right?
Yes.
Let's come back at 2:02 Eastern time. I'll probably be back earlier, but at the very least, we'll all be back by 2:00. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay,
Now,
thank you.
We can start painting now, or?
please do. Please set up your boards. Please start painting. I am going to pause the recording. I do need 2 to 3 volunteers for when we come back. When you see me back, to please say start recording. Okay.
Okay.
Because if I forget, it's sort of a disaster. All right. Great. Okay. I'm going to turn off my audio. You know, do you guys need me to leave this up on the screen for you to see?
Why don't you post it on Padlet?
I think I will do that.
Okay.
Great
Laura?
idea. Thank you. Yes.
It's Lori Harding. Do you want us to do our own thing with colors and everything, or Are you?
That's up to you. That's really up to you. If you
Okay.
feel that you would learn by doing a direct copy,
Mhm.
because you've had the specific instruction, go ahead and do that. If you feel that, ugh, I hate her colors, do your own thing. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I will stop the share. What I will do also is I will take a photo of it and hold on. Okay, and I will put it up on Padlet. Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm going to pause the recording. Please, please, please